welcome back to my channel, and today I want to do a little bit of an update. This little patch area is right next to our driveway, and it so happened that the gravel was put down by a tractor and my husband was operating it and backed up too much, and my tomatoes, guys, my tomatoes were run over. Oh no! He felt really bad, and I understand it was totally an accident, but my soul hurt. The whole entire lifespan of these tomatoes flashed before my eyes, and I just was in shock. But thankfully, they popped right back and haven't sustained any major damages. So what happened was that this tomato and this tomato, they got knocked over that way, and actually this stake broke, but thankfully the tomato just got scraped on the side. So is this one, but as you can see, it's still doing pretty good. So let's take a look at most of the tomatoes on these two branches either fell off and the birds ate them. This one right here, kind of damaged, but we'll see what happens. And we have a cluster up here doing pretty good, and then we got some more baby tomatoes going on. I can feel the moisture off of this stem just because it rained recently. We're moving on to this guy here, and we have these two guys, and this one is blushing a little bit, and I am feeling really hopeful that if I leave it just a little longer, I can hopefully get something blushing more. My sucker here is coming in, and I have another one over here, and as I mentioned before in another video, I am going to leave the suckers and let them grow, spread more foliage, make more cover for the tomatoes. And then we have another branch little here, and then more flowers. And then our other tomato, I need to trim this big branch so it doesn't take up nutrients, so we can see that these guys are yellowing. Maybe I can just maybe harvest these when they are actually a little bit of red on here, but we will see how that goes. And then we have a nice cluster up here, and then more here, and then more blooms. One thing I did notice, and I wasn't sure what was happening, is that so these bigger tomatoes have a little shine to them, and these little ones are very matte and flat. There's no shine to them, and they feel kind of dry almost, so I'm not sure what is going on with that. And then we have our last big healthy tomato. It has a cluster of tomatoes here, and then more here, and then more blooms forming there. So I am excited for this one, and it doesn't look like it has a lot of suckers. And our last little guy here. So as you can see, this guy putting up a shoot up here and in the middle. So I think this guy's gonna pull through, which is pretty impressive. It just kind of stood here for a while, not doing anything for about a month, and now it is it's deciding that it will go for it. And you know, yay for this guy. Ever since I shared my last video and how my tomatoes were just getting destroyed and I haven't really harvested many of them, a lot of people suggested putting a bird bath near this little patch because birds apparently eat the tomatoes to kind of drink their juice. So they don't actually eat the tomatoes, they just want to hydrate. So I have been brainstorming. As I mentioned, this little patch right here is right next to our driveway. I'm not sure how that will look or how that will work, if that's gonna get knocked over. So I am still thinking about it. I was just recently watching my old videos and just kind of reminiscing of where I started, how small the tomatoes were, where my mental hope was for these tomatoes, and they honestly exceeded a lot of my expectations. And I was just thinking, how cool would that be if I save a tomato from here for seed and then replant it next season? and just keep doing that for as long as I garden. I feel like that would be super special because it would be super cool to kind of preserve and keep going and just save that history, you can say. Make a story for this kind of a tomato. Maybe I'll call it something different, I don't know, but that's just way down the line. That's something that I think that would be cool, and hopefully I'll have a tomato that can stay in a vine long enough to ripen so I can collect it for seed. But otherwise, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I think I am going to top these tomatoes off as soon as they reach the top here, because I have nothing taller to support these guys with, and I know that if you top a tomato, it will shoot suckers from the armpits of the tomatoes to produce more fruit, so I will not be losing out on any fruit. So I think I'm gonna go with that option because there's no way I can find anything taller than that. That is on the ground. This is not raised bed, so like literally very high tomato. Just like I mentioned before, this season is a lot of experimenting and seeing what works for me. I was looking through a lot of comments just recently and just really appreciated all the tips and tricks of how to get rid of critters, how to help that issue, and I really feel supported, and I want to thank you all for your answers, your suggestions. Again, I'm not shooting for popularity in any kind of sort or way. I'm just looking for a community that supports each other and uplifts each other. And in my little journey, I'm really excited to see some people that have expressed their interest in this little not even 3x3 bed. So I am super excited and super thankful and grateful for all of the feedback that I'm getting. This little patch here has brought me so much joy, and I just honestly, when that tractor rode over these tomatoes, I squealed because that hurt me. They were my babies. So I'm super excited and glad that they have pulled through and survived and are still producing. I'm just blown away. So prolific and just fighters. I'm impressed, honestly. Okay guys, one last update. Right now behind me is that clay / gravel land that I had in the beginning of my videos, and look at that. We just left it, let it be, let all the seeds, weeds germinate. It the roots broke down the topsoil, and it's just been looking good. So right now it's just the lawn for us, but in the future this is the space that I want to plant my garden. And I know that you have to start small and learn, but I am shooting for a big garden, and I am going to share it with you of what I'm envisioning. That picture would be at the end of the video, and please just leave any suggestions if you have any. I will greatly appreciate it. It's a lot of space to work with, and I'm super excited. I don't know when that will happen, but I'm just sharing my dream with you. Thank you guys so much for following my journey, for listening to my rants, listening to my nonsense talk, even when things were common sense and I should have done them beforehand. I really appreciate all of your advice, suggestions. I will start recording these things so I can use them in the future. I do have a garden journal. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.